Shivashakti madam.
Sir, good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. One
Very
minute,
good
sir.
morning.
1 minute, sir. YouTube live connection. I doing YouTube live connection. Please, sir.
Sure, madam.
1 minute.
Okay, no
Yes,
issues.
sir.
Thank you. Good
Satish,
morning,
good morning.
everyone. Good
Good morning,
morning,
everyone.
Sasikla madam. Good morning, everyone. Thank
Good
you.
morning, good morning.
Good morning, estimation team.
Hemavati Babu, please stop the screen. Sadish, sir. Neena, ma'am.
Hello, madam. Yes, ma'am.
Sir,
Yes, madam.
somebody share the screen.
Uh,
Hemavati Babu,
uh, who
please
is Hemavati Babu?
stop the screen, ma'am.
Can you, can you stop the screen? Ms. Hemavati Babu.
Adam, you can, excuse me, you can host control, ma'am. You can control
I
sharing
know. I
screen
can
by
remove
host
only,
control.
ma'am. I can remove her. So that's why announcement.
She can only give permission.
Yes.
She can only give permission.
Okay, sir. I remove her, sir. Okay.
Otherwise,
Okay.
just
Okay,
remove.
sir. Okay.
They'll have to join back
Okay.
otherwise. Yeah.
Hello?
Hello.
Satish sir, we have Miss Karina here. Miss Karina, good morning.
Oh,
Good
yes.
morning.
Good morning, Ms. Karina. How are you?
Fine, fine, and you?
Thank you. I'm fine. Thanks for joining.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
We'll wait for another few minutes and then we'll start. 10:30 session starts, Karina.
Okay. I have a video to share. I think
Shalini has
Shalini.
shared that to me. Let me try it out from my side. If there are some issues from your end.
Was everything okay with that?
That is okay, but let me try sharing it during the session. Maybe can we try it now, just to test?
Okay.
Shivashakti madam, I'm just trying to share. Somebody else is coming in.
Yes, sir.
Hemavati
Again and
Babu,
again.
who is this?
Madam Hemavati Babu, please stop the screen, ma'am.
Is there some issue? Yeah. They'll have to stop then, yeah. Ms. Karina, can you see the screen?
No.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm just playing it. Just
Okay.
is the audio okay?
No, sir.
Audio?
Only video only.
Audio is not coming?
You are starting to share now.
Just a moment, madam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Audio also.
Audio is also okay, madam?
Morning, Satish.
No, sir. No.
Audio is also okay, madam? No, now?
Now okay, sir.
There it is.
Okay.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Satish, good morning. Shivashakti, ma'am,
Good
good
morning,
morning.
ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
I can see. I'm not hearing. I don't know if the volume was low, but
Hi,
let me do
Karina.
something else. Just a moment, Karina. Let me try some other ways. Yeah.
Hi, Karina.
hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Siska. Good morning.
Good morning, Zuna, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning, Ma Janki.
Good morning, ma'am. What's up, sir? Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Acquisition is yes. Question acquired. Language probably heard. I'll be the short buttons. I'll be required language. That's another one. Ready?
Can you all hear the audio?
Wait, sir. Wait, sir. Yaar terilla.
No.
Is it very low or?
Jayantika, good morning.
Shall I try from my computer?
Yeah, please, Karina. Yeah.
I'm trying, but I
Yeah,
cannot
please.
do it yet.
You can start sharing, you know. You see a present now a button on the right down to your screen. Huh? There is one present now button. Just click on that.
Yes, I can see that, and
You can click on that. Karina, not there. Nina, Karina's left, I believe.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
Maybe she got dropped off. She will check, madam, if she
Yes,
again
sir.
comes back.
She left, sir.
Yeah, just
Okay,
let
sir.
her
Okay,
in.
sir.
That's great, madam. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
hi. Here I am from another
Yeah,
device.
good.
I'm trying to connect it with the computer. I don't know what happens. I prefer to use the computer because of the image and all that, but well, I try.
Storytellers are no less. She is a member of the International Storytelling Network and has a wide repertoire of stories both in Spanish and English. She is credited with authoring Super Puss in Boots, Romeo Juliet, and some other people, in addition to penning theatre plays for babies and very young children. At present, her journey with Indigo Theatre is streaming. Welcome, Miss Karina, and we are all waiting to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning to all of you. Sorry, I think I interrupted, but I couldn't hear very well. Now I can. And well, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very happy that ACE Innovation has invited me again. And well, welcome to my session to all of you. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do being here. And well, today the topic is why storytelling is important for students. So I have many things to say about this, and I think it is crucial for teachers and for trainee teachers to be aware of this and of the importance of storytelling for students. And well, I would like to start with a text by Eduardo Galeano. It's a version of this text, which I think has to do with the topic. Then you will see why. This text is a short one, but very nice one, so I'd like you to enjoy it. Let's get ready for it. I will ask you to please close your eyes. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Please take another deep breath. Now please open your eyes. Open your ears. And open your hearts. And I hope you enjoy it. According to tradition, storytellers can only tell stories when it is snowing. And it is said that when a story is told, trees and flowers stop growing, and the big birds forget about feeding their birds. That's the magic of storytelling. Well, I wanted to start with this text because it's nice and because it makes us aware of the magic of storytelling. And I believe that for teaching, we also need a certain magic and a certain special atmosphere so that we and our students can feel relaxed and can enjoy and learn better in this way. So, storytelling can make a great difference in our lessons. That's why I chose for us to include storytelling in our lessons. We'll ask you some questions. It is not necessary. With a gesture, you can say yes or no to my questions because they are just yes-no questions. So the first one is, do you like going to the cinema or watching films or series? Okay, yes or no?
Yes,
do you
ma'am.
read Okay, good. Do you read novels, short stories, magazines? Do you usually read stories in books? Good, good. Do you like it when you get to know something about the life of famous people? When they are getting married or some other important events in their lives? Yes, okay. Good. Do you have to, when you have to give someone a piece of advice, do you tell this person what you did in a similar situation? Do you sometimes tell your own experience to help your friends? Good. Okay. When you arrive home, do you sometimes tell people who live with you what you did or what happened to you during the day? Okay, good. Well, I could go on all day asking you this. I am sure that your answer to most of these questions has been yes. All of these questions are about situations which include stories. It is obvious in books, in series, but also when you tell someone something that happened to you at work, you organize information as if it were a story. All the time, in our daily lives, we are telling stories, and we are listening to stories that other people tell us. We all need stories because we are human beings. That is also why teachers should incorporate stories into their practice. Stories are particularly important for them to understand the world. We should bear in mind that children have a need for stories. And even when we are can be very useful, as they also enjoy listening to stories, even when we are teaching adolescents or adults. We may also encourage, which has many other advantages too. In fact, if we want to promote integrated personality development, we should, in general, and to the art of storytelling in particular, because I think it is important.
Ms. Shalini, could you please check it out with Ms. Karina? Is she back?
Yes, if she's unable to join in, could you please help her doing it, Satish sir or Shivashakti ma'am?
Shivashakti ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Sir, could you
You could continue.
All right. Well, it is important for teachers to tell stories to students, but also students should be encouraged to tell, because in this way they can acquire fluency in speaking. I mean, not only in a foreign language, but also for their mother tongue. So, if you want to make them acquire fluency, practicing telling that they are making lots of mistakes and oh my god, terrible. No, it's some theory that is like the foundation for all these things I am saying, the theoretical foundation. Because this is, I don't think only that stories are important because of my own experience, but also because I have read many things about why they are important. And I think it is connected to many theories that I have read by experts in many fields. So, first I'm going to talk about the concept of meaningful learning. I don't know if you have read about it, but anyway, just in case, I will read the definition. Learning becomes meaningful when we connect or link previously learned materials with a new learning episode. Meaningful learning, in the words of David Ausubel, is active, constructive, and durable. This form of learning requires active learning techniques. This implies that meaningful learning has an active role, since he or she has to organize information. This is what happens when we tell stories. Because we receive the information, we relate it to previous knowledge that we have, and we organize it in our minds. We will see this in detail now, because David Ausubel, the author of this, the first one is keep previous knowledge in mind. I have just told you we relate the new information to concepts. For instance, when we mention that the story takes place in a big castle, the students have the concept of castle in their minds beforehand, and so they can relate it to that. The point that he makes is provide activities that help awaken students' interest. The greater the students' interest, the more willing they will be to incorporate new learning into their conceptual framework. Well, as we have said, stories are motivating. So students are interested in stories. And that's why I think it is connected to this concept, because he talks about activities that students like, that students are interested in. And storytelling is one of these activities. Then he says, create a harmonious teachers. Well, let me tell you that when teachers tell stories to their students, their relationship becomes one of affection, connection, and trust. So it is very much related to what he says. Another point, provide activities that allow students to ideas and debate.
Yes, sir.
There it is. So that is Stephen Krashen.
Ma'am?
I think the volume is not okay.
What, ma'am?
Ma'am, audio is not audible, ma'am.
Ma'am?
Sir, you are muting, sir.
Ma'am?
Well, I can tell you, as you see, he is pointing to different parts of his body and trying to...
Audio is not hearing, ma'am.
Don't worry, I'll tell you. He is teaching, he's trying to teach Berman to this audience, and the first time...
Ma'am, sir is muting the call, ma'am. That's why audio is not audible, ma'am.
Audio is available.
It's muted.
Don't disturb me, please. Don't disturb her. Ma'am, please continue, ma'am.
We request
Ma'am,
your
please continue, ma'am.
Please mute your audios. Miss
Ma'am, please
Karina,
continue,
please
ma'am.
continue.
Karina, ma'am,
Okay.
please continue.
Well, I will explain what... Okay. I will explain what is happening in this video. Stephen Krashen is trying to show that teaching in two different ways, German, the first time he just talks without making any gestures, and the second time he starts pointing to show, yes, the word eyes, ears, and face, and all that. And so the second time the audience can understand, because he's showing, and he is doing it in a more entertaining way. What I wanted to tell you is that storytelling is a way of telling things in this sense, with the image also into account, taking into account the word, but also the image. When you speak, you point, you make a gesture, and so in that way, students can understand better and will remember better. So that's it. It was a very short video, never mind. Then I can share when you want. Well, also Richard Mayer, who is an showing how to present material in a way that helps people to learn. He made an interesting comments as regards this, because he said that we learn more with words and images presented as happiness and all that. I have shown you that there is a lot of theory that proves, and there are many other authors that I could mention, is really important for students. So please make stories a central part of your teaching. Well, finally, I have another gift. I have a story This time, I would like you to share the story with me, but participating. When I make this gesture, I want you to say, calm down, calm down. Whether we can hear it or not, you are alone, but you can say, calm down, calm down. So, once upon a time, in the woods, some frogs organized a competition to climb up the highest tree. Spread quickly. And so all the frogs on the day of the competition, they all started jumping and trying to climb up the tree. And the observers watched. So one of the spectators said, "You are not going to make it. Calm down. You are not going to make it. Calm down, calm down." You should all be saying that now. Calm down, calm down. Then another spectator said, "It's dangerous. Calm down." The crowd started saying, "Calm down, calm down. It's too tall. It's very dangerous." All the time. Listening to the crowd, many of the frogs lost their confidence. Most of the frogs gave up. Then, one by one, started getting down, until all of them had got down. Except for one, a tiny frog trying to jump and reach the top. But the audience continued crying, "Calm down, calm down." The frog continued going up, and he went higher and higher and higher until finally he reached the top of the tree. Once the competition was over, everybody wanted to know what motivated this little frog. How could he do it? There was a secret. This little frog. You're welcome. Bye.
Yes. So let's move on now to the next part of the session. One said, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players." And we have Team Catify with us today to help us nourish the wise man's words and works. To all those who are yet to figure out who the wise man is, you're about to find out. Now I request Dr. Neena Gayatri, CEO Ace Innovation, to welcome.
Actually, Catify and Ace Innovation go a long way because our vision is the same. I actually stumbled into Catify during a rendezvous on Facebook, and then I just happened to watch one of their truck, and I've been struck ever since. I welcome Catify. Nitin Pradhan, who is the CEO of Catify, is based at Switzerland. Nitin, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining with Ace Innovation. Thank you for bringing Shakespeare to us and here to the world. Along with Nitin, we have Lady J, we call her, a wonderful teacher who is absolutely, just listening to her and her explain Shakespeare, and welcome Jay. We also have Archita, whose voice is magnet, who coordinates the whole thing. He's not able to join us today, but he is there in spirit. Thank you, Catify. Catify also has a lot of other products, very nice products, which together we will be bringing it to you with Ace Innovation, and products like Madhubani art and so many different kinds of things. So therefore, Catify is a very innovative company. So innovation plus Ace Innovation is going to take you place. Enjoy yourselves and let's go into Shakespeare land. Thank you so much. Team Catify?
Sure. Thank you so much, Nina. And
Welcome.
very happy to have everyone join in. We have Jay, as you mentioned, and we have Archita. A very warm welcome to all of you. Now we're just getting settled in. So, Jay, would you like to introduce yourself, and then Archita, and then let's start the session. Sure.
Stratford-upon-Avon, as you will soon see, is the beautiful medieval market town of central England with the county on the river Avon. Beautiful surroundings for a wonderful time. Shakespeare was educated at the Free Grammar School at Stratford, where he studied the classical languages with no great interest. But he had to leave at the age of 13 as his father had been arrested for debt. He later acted in plays and even wrote them. Now, in those days, it's important to remember that acting was not considered a suitable profession for ladies, and hence all the female parts were played by very young men in plays and even wrote them. Now, in those days, it's important to remember that acting was not considered a suitable profession for ladies, and hence all the female parts were played by very young men. The church was very critical of the theatre and called it the nest of the devil. Now, Shakespeare saw two monarchs in his lifetime, Elizabeth I, the picture you see here, and King James I of England. It was for the latter that the play was written. Legend has it that in 16 and enacted for them. So you're actually going to be taken on a royal tour. Lucky you. Now, Shakespeare took the story of Macbeth from Veronica, but he made many dramatic changes when he wrote his play. For one, in the original story, Banquo, who was an ancestor to the king, was an accomplice to the murder of Duncan. It would be horribly tactless on the part of Shakespeare to suggest it. So Banquo was the good guy in the play. Now, King James II himself was terribly interested in witchcraft and had even written a book about it. So the witches in the play and the apparitions that come later would have sparked plenty of royal interest. Now soon you will be seeing Elizabeth Duncan's army, Lady Macbeth, his wife, Banquo, Macbeth's co-commander, the three witches who represent the supernatural element in the play, Macduff, a Scottish thane, and finally Malcolm, the king's eldest son and heir to the throne. Macbeth is both the hero and the villain in this great tragedy. He is shown as a great hero who, along with Banquo, vanquished the rebel and won laurels for King Duncan's army. While they are returning, they meet three witches who hail Macbeth as Thane of Glamis, a title he had inherited from his father, then Thane of Cawdor, and finally King Hereafter. Macbeth's interest and ambition are sparked when soon after the king confers the title of Thane of Cawdor on him. Why might Macbeth not become king? The play powerfully shows what overwhelming ambition can do to a man and how it can take him to unnecessary lengths and feed cycles of conflict. Can imagination be so powerful? What is appearance? What reality? I urge you to ponder over these and other questions while you are listening to the play. Catch a Fly attempts to take you through parts of the play and give you a virtual experience of actually being in Scotland. You can hear the voices of Macbeth and his lady. You can see the desolate heath and feel a chill run down your spine at the horror of events. Let your imagination soar, and for a brief while, you may actually be the bard. enjoy the play. The mood of the play. However, she fears that her essential womanliness may come in the way of the deed. And she says, the raven himself is horse that crooks the fatal entrance of Duncan under my battlements. Come, you spirits that tend on mortal thoughts, unfix me fear, and fill me from the crown to the toe, chock full of direst cruelty. They kick my blood, stop up the access and passage for remorse, that no compunctious visitings of nature shake my fell purpose, nor keep peace between the effect and it. Macbeth has been convinced by Lady Macbeth to kill King Duncan while he sleeps. She would have done it herself, had not Duncan resembled a dead father as he slept. She cajoles, taunts, teases and scolds Macbeth until reluctantly agrees. His vivid imagination shows him a dagger. Suspense. He tries to hold it, but can only see it. He wonders if it is his own overburdened mind that is conjuring up this dagger, and he says, is this a dagger which I see before me, the handle toward my hand? Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. Art thou not, fatal vision, sensible to feeling as to sight? Or art thou but a dagger of the mind, a false creation proceeding from the heat of blessed brain? I see thee still, and on thy blade and dudgeon, gouts of blood which was not there before. There's no such thing. It is the bloody business which informs thus to mine eyes. Macbeth's dreams have come true. He is now crowned King of Scotland. The King's two sons, Malcolm and Jonathan, have fled to England and Ireland respectively. Macbeth is deeply suspicious of everyone. He is especially afraid of the goodness and natural nobility of Banquo, and now has to kill him. He tries to justify his actions. Here is what he says. To be thus is nothing but to be safely thus. Our fears in Banquo stick deep, and in his royalty of nature reigns that which would be feared. He hath a vision and a wisdom that doth guide his valor to act in safety. There is none but he whose being I do fear. Macbeth uses the information Banquo gave him that he and his son Fleance were going riding. Banquo is killed by the murderers Macbeth had sent, but Fleance escapes. Now King Macbeth holds a banquet, and all the lords and ladies are present. It's a victory, kingly banquet. He pretends to miss the presence of Banquo, but suddenly the ghost of Banquo sits in the chair reserved for Macbeth. This unnerves him totally, especially since no one else, not even Lady Macbeth, seems to be able to see it. And Macbeth says, never shake thy gory locks at me. Avaunt, and quit my sight. Let the earth hide thee. Thy bones are marrowless, thy blood is cold. Hence, horrible shadow, unreal mockery, hence. He's quite shaken, as you can imagine. And so would you. Macbeth now wants to know what the future has in store for him and decides to seek out the witches. They are stirring their poisonous brew in a cauldron. They conjure up 3 apparitions with saying, Macbeth, 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 beware Macduff, beware the Thane of Fire. Macbeth, 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 be bloody, bold and resolute, laugh to scorn the power of man, for none of woman born shall harm Macbeth. And the third apparition says, Macbeth shall never vanquished be until great Birnam Wood to high Dunsinane Hill shall come against. After hearing these utterances, Macbeth is lulled into a false sense of complacency. He thinks the apparitions have comforted him. However, he still feels unsafe, and so gets Macduff's wife and children and servants killed just to be safe. You soon see a picture of a little boy, and you can almost hear his piteous cries begging to be saved. Tugs at your heartstrings, doesn't it? Meanwhile, Lady Macbeth cannot bear the guilt, and keeping the secret of the various deaths is too much for her to bear. She walks and talks in her sleep, while the doctor and the gentlewoman overhear her. She's deeply disturbed and is rubbing her hands, almost as if to get the blood out. Out, damn spot! Out, I say! Here's the smell of blood still. All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. No, oh, oh. Let's try to help. Macbeth seems to have lost the capacity to fear and indeed grief when he hears of Lady Macbeth's death. And he says, with some of the most moving lines, she should have died hereafter. There would have been time for such a word. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. However, things have to move on, and Macbeth is now in his castle in Dunsinane, and the enemy forces of Malcolm and Donalbain are coming to overthrow him. Their army marches towards Dunsinane, keeping boughs before them, so that it looks as if a wood were moving. Macbeth knows fight until the very last. Macduff fights with him and tells him he was not born in the natural way, but untimely ripped from his mother's womb. Macbeth knows his time is come, and Macduff slays him and emerges with the tyrant's head on his sword. And peace reigns once again, with Malcolm being crowned King of Scotland. We sincerely hope you have enjoyed the show put up for you. We hope we have whetted your appetite for Shakespeare, and that brings another storytelling to an end. Thank you. Over to you, Akshita, because I think now we are getting ready for the virtual tour of Scotland. Please remain in your seats, because you'll be traveling the world. Over to you, Akshita.
Thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, please hold on to them, and we will be taking questions after the virtual tour. So thank you so much. And let's dive right in. I will be sharing my screen in just a moment. Here we are. All right, so the play that we just heard, Macbeth, of course, it is all fiction, but right? And what I want to do with this virtual tour is show you a little bit about these life places where Shakespeare wrote his work, the actual places in Scotland where the events of the play are said to have occurred, and some locations where the film, if you know it, was shot. So to understand this play, we need to understand the playwright first, right? And Shakespeare's life was actually not so far removed from ours. He was born in a really small town in England called Stratford-upon-Avon. That's what you see on your screen right now. And if I zoom out, you'll see that it's right in the heart of England, and it's very close to a very big city that we all may be familiar with, which is London. So he was born in this really small town and kind of left this small town to make his fortunes in the big city in London. And actually he lived kind of a double life. You know, in his hometown he was seen as this kind of successful businessman, and he had a wife, children, and in London he lived the life of a bohemian poet and an actor in the city. And if you see some of the portraits of Shakespeare from that time, you'll see, you know, he has an earring in one of his ears, and that should just kind of give you a glimpse into the other side of Shakespeare's personality, that was not a businessman but a poet. And in fact, we can even go to Stratford-upon-Avon, or just Stratford today. It's a really small and charming town where you can see Shakespeare's birthplace. One thing that will stand out to you are these timber frame buildings. Now what you see in front of you is actually Shakespeare's home, Shakespeare's birthplace, where he also lived the rest of his life. And this is a really nice place to visit around Shakespeare's birthday, of course, and other theatre festivals. Now, Shakespeare was born in 1564. Imagine this town, if you will, in the 16th century. And if you think about what was happening at that point in history, remember that his entire life was actually shaped by the plague. So, you know, infectious disease that has taken a lot of lives. Unfortunately, this is something that we're all familiar with in today's world also. And in fact, Shakespeare's parents lost two of their children to the bubonic plague, and they quarantined themselves when Shakespeare was just 3 months old to kind of protect this baby and to make sure he lives into adulthood. And thank God that they did. And actually, not just during his birth, but a lot of his material was also written during waves of this outbreak. Because it came and went over the period of several years. You know, they couldn't come up with a vaccine as fast as we did in today's world. So interesting in his life. But if you think about it, it is very rarely mentioned in his work. For example, if you have studied that work in detail, you remember that the reason that the friar in Romeo and Juliet is unable to deliver the message across, he gets quarantined after visiting a house where they are suspected to have the famous lines, "A plague upon your houses," right? So you definitely see some references to it, but actually it's not so much, or it's not used in a very jovial sense. They don't make jokes about it because it was very, very real to the audience at the time, and it was used to kind of make a very powerful statement. It would leave an impact on the audience to whom it was a very, very real danger at the time. And of course, so if we mention Shakespeare, we have to mention the Globe Theatre. Jay already heard what theatre looked like. like at the time of Shakespeare. So we have to remember that Shakespeare partly owned the Globe Theatre, and here I'm taking you inside the Globe Theatre as it stands today. This is the new Globe Theatre that was rebuilt in modern times. Actually looks, this is in London, very close to the original after it burned down, and it looks very, very similar to the original. In fact, the original Globe Theatre was also closed many times because of plague outbreaks, and this Globe Theatre that you see in front of you right now is also closed, unfortunately, due to, of course, a modern plague that we have today, which is pretty iconic. So what you see here, up here, if you see, this is a thatched roof. Again, part of what makes it so similar to the original Globe, and in fact, it is London's only thatched roof. So that's something very interesting about this building. And today it stages plays, of course, Shakespeare's plays. You can take guided tours here, which is what some of these people seem to be doing. And in fact, you can even come here and take acting workshops. So it's definitely still like retaining the spirit of the original Globe Theatre. So, today we revere Shakespeare, who in fact, the most quoted author in the world. His works are the most quoted, second only to the Bible, apparently. But he was actually panned by the critics of his time. So they thought that, his work was not intellectual enough. But he's really stood the test of today. And he's who can really transport you to a different world. And with Macbeth, the play that we just heard today, the world that he transports us to is the world. So Scott.
And water. First, the barley is malted by being steeped in water, then spread until it's spread and germinated, producing sometimes like by peat, which gives it the smoke flavors found to varying degrees in the final whiskey. The kiln's traditional English chimney is the distinctive hallmark of the Scottish distillery. Once dry.
All right, so this accent quoted me to Scotland. Of course, beyond the food. And Scotland is far north. It is often really dark and dreary, yes, and it is damp, which makes it the perfect setting for this play, which also has, a lot of really dark themes in it. The lack of sun is also represented in the play. A lot of important scenes happen dark, and it's the opening scene where the three witches are supposed to have prophecy. And there is actually a real place in Scotland where the witches are supposed to have met, and this is a place called Sweno. And this is a real place. It says that the three witches are still imprisoned in this stone, apparently, and that it shouldn't be broken or people release them. Or, there's other theories that say that this is actually a stone from the 9th or 10th century, and it was probably a monument to which being battered by whichever one of these stories is true. And, I choose to believe the witch's story because it's just more interesting. It is definitely a must-visit place when you're in Scotland, and definitely is a theme. I didn't know what this was when I first read the play. So actually, kings of the time would let noblemen rule over portions of the land in exchange for milky service. And these people were called the Thanes, so it's kind of like a modern day duke. Now it's unclear whether Macbeth really was a Thane of Glamis, but Glamis definitely became extremely popular after Shakespeare's play. In fact, even if you go to Britain now, you can see a lot of streets called Glamis Street. And fun fact, whether or not he ever came to this castle or lived in this castle, this also has some historical significance because this was a childhood home of Queen Elizabeth. And there's a lot of stories about, creepy monsters that haunt the grounds of this castle that you see in front of you, and also like people being trapped alive in the walls of this castle, and that should definitely put it on your checklist if you're ever. So Macbeth is also the Thane of Cawdor, right? And so I want to show you Cawdor Castle. And in fact, it is known that Macbeth was actually Cawdor. We know this for sure because there are actually historical records for Cawdor. And this, what you see here, is a castle that an actual Thane of Cawdor built. And there's an interesting story about that. He just wandered around the grounds that he owned, and when it sat down in one particular place, he said that, okay, this is the place where I'm going to build my castle. The donkey actually sat down under a holly tree, and this entire castle is built around this holly tree, and you can even see that tree today. This is the picture that you see in front of you, and the whole castle is built around this living tree. So speaking of trees that have some kind of historical significance, Burnham Oak is I will not be afraid of death and pain till Burnham Forest comes as the name, right? So he gets this from the witch's prophecy. So what exactly is Burnham Wood, or where is Burnham spot for something so unimaginably horrific to happen? So of course, the film definitely has taken some liberties, right? Set out the play because none of the events actually happened in the Isle of Skye, but actually Shakespeare took some liberties as well. His source material was in fact historical events. So Macbeth really existed, but he added his own flavor to it. For example, this King Dunsinane that I mentioned before, he envisions a castle, right, when there was really none. And there is actually a reason for this. In fact, Shakespeare probably never visited Scotland in his time, or any of the other places that his plays are set in, for a couple of reasons. A, he was, as I mentioned before, quarantined for large parts of his life, so travel probably wasn't very safe or even allowed at the time. Again, just bringing it back to today's life, something we definitely identify with, right? Being stuck in our homes. Of course, he was a playwright. He was a successful businessman, did not have the means, the financial means to travel the world. To take away from that is, he resembled her.
Just two of Shakespeare's quotes come to my mind. One was, "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the water to create many ripples." Catterfly, you've done exactly this. I mean, you've just caused ripples so that people across the world can not only be taken to places on your virtual tour, but also the picture could be wherein people.
So we are very happy as being a part of the organizers of this program. Really, and the Tamil Nadu Teacher Education storytelling, giving a lot of inputs regarding how the impact of storytelling will give a kind of output in the mode of teaching and learning. Really, it was very nice. So we are very grateful and we thank for your valuable time spent with us for your wonderful presentation. And then I next move on to Jayanti Murthy. You just mind blown with your presentation and with your picturization and the intonation you have given. We really experienced a kind of a virtual tour regarding the way you presented with Macbeth. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Just you stolen the hearts of all the participants. Really, it was a great one we had today. No words to say that. You deserving for this awards on behalf of the organizing team as well as from the participants. On behalf of the participants also, from their responsibility, I also thank you for wonderful you are delivering the narration of the Macbeth with the picturization of the characters. Really, it was astonishing one. You were great today. So we are very happy that we have a very good time again. Just you have evoked the feelings of all the participants in their college days, what they have learned during their college days. That is what we realized. That is what we got from your wonderful narration of that Macbeth. So we are very gratitude, and we are very thankful to you for your wonderful session and being part of this program. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
And I thank Madam Arshida. Yes, you have took us a virtual tour from the birthplace of Shakespeare, that is Stratford, to the entire United Kingdom, and in particular all the UK. What are the things that you have experienced? You were given very gist what kind of experience you had regarding this storytelling. So thanks to you for your wonderful sharing your experience with us. Thank you so much once again. And I thank the moderator, Sankamitra. I thank Dr. Neena Gayatri Rao, and I thank Nitin Pradhan, and I thank Mr. Prabhakaran, and I thank the entire team. Let's regret me for that, because the people who are behind the scene, they have put their strenuous effort for making this program as a grand and Kala one. It is reaching what we have expected. Beyond it, that we have reached through this storytelling, a lot of demand for this program. But we are getting daily and more than 100 hours through this program. So we are very happy and glad for joining this wonderful program on the part of Tamil Nadu District Education University. And I thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, most respected Registrar, and the Dean of Faculty and other teaching faculties and all the organizing team members from both sides, Innovation as well as from Tamil Nadu District Education University. And special thanks to Dr. T. Sulsek Rajamal, is my colleague who is the women who takes a lot of efforts, who have already completed during this pandemic. So she is deserving for all those credit for conducting this program on the side of Tamil Nadu Teacher Education University. And once again, I thank everyone who have extended your wholehearted support and response. I thank each and everyone. Still, we have a lot of programs in the row. So the participants, you are the backbone of all the program. Without you, there will be no success. So for your wonderful support and overwhelming response for all the programs we have organizing. So I thank each and everyone, the entire team, and all the